Julia, thanks very much for joining us. I know that Bonard has produced new research on the senior living markets in Germany. What were the key takeaways from you in terms of that research?
This was an extensive and a detailed study on the German senior living market, second actual report of its kind after the analysis of the French market earlier this year that we did. A key takeaway is that the report analyzed and confirmed growing demand and the lack of supply in the senior living market in Germany. There are almost 10 million seniors when we talk about people aged 75 plus in the country, and the number has been growing, actually 3% yearly. To satisfy that pool of customers, there are almost 75,000 assisted living establishments in the country when we measured top 20 German cities. Still, the provision rate, that share of apartments to seniors, is above 4%. When we talk about all types of assisted living establishments, and just 1.1% when we talk about private establishments. In the next 5 years, of course, supply will be added. New 16,000 of apartments will be built, and still, this much bigger projected demand will not be satisfied by the growing supply, or at least keep it at this low level.
And in terms of the senior living sector, Julia, how do you see that for the medium and longer term in terms of the outlook?
As I mentioned before, this current provision rate for assisted living establishments is slightly below 4%. And then pipeline for the next 5 years is insufficient to cope with that demand. And this projected long-term increase in the number of people aged 75 plus will actually outpace the rate at which new establishments are being added. And this gap between supply and demand still will not be satisfied. The situation in German cities such as Stuttgart, Bielefeld, Berlin, Köln points to this biggest gap between supply and demand, and making these cities most promising target markets for the investors to look at. This is for the new targets in the long term. And assisted living establishments in Germany, in general, become an alternative for people with low level of care required. Especially this trend is sustained by long waiting lists for care establishments. Sometimes it takes months or even years to get to a care facility. And as a result, more and more providers shift their focus from the sole care establishments to combining care and assisted living, which allow residents to switch to the higher care level at the same facility in case a health level is decreasing.
What does that mean in terms of the real estate side and the real estate provision, Julia?
High demand for the ready-to-convert buildings, as well as the shortage of available land to build these residences in the big or medium-sized cities will lead to a further increase in prices for the real estate assets. Taking into account a strong competition between various market players, the net yields are projected to decrease in the future. And as a result, the return on investments in the new facilities may take even longer.
It's been really interesting to see these the series of research as it develops, the French market and now this one on the German market. Look forward to seeing what the next one is, Julia. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you.